This is for all the haters in the comment sections where they say buy now, pay later apps do not report to your credit report. Look at this. There's no private information on here at all. Nobody's name, nobody's account number, nothing is on here. Jefferson Capital, right there. I know it's backwards, but screenshot it. What's it collecting for you guys? Drop a comment. Let me know. Klarna, right there. Where's the amount? $501. Look at the date. Right, where's the date on here? May 24th. So many people are going to say, oh, it doesn't report to your credit report. It doesn't report to your credit report. This is your credit report. It's from Experian, and it's on there. So stop using buy now, pay later apps. The Klarnas, Afterpay, Zip, Affirm. Use real credit cards. That way it's going to establish credit. And there are multiple credit cards out there that offer 0% interest. There's a lot of comments that's in my comment section that'll say, 4 payments of 0% interest. My job here on TikTok is to assist you to get your credit report where you don't need to use Klarna, Zip, Affirm, Afterpay. That way you can use big credit cards, Chase, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, American Express, Citibank. Those are the credit cards you want on your credit report. So just think. Stay away from all the buy now, pay later apps. And here is physical proof. Physical proof. It's a collection on their credit report. And it is going to report to your credit.
See, me personally, I don't think there's a problem with using those buy now, pay later apps. I've used them before, and I'm not telling you it's because I'm a financially responsible person. Is that sometimes I've purchased large items, and I had the money to purchase them then. I just didn't want to spend all that money to purchase them then. But this is coming from a person that is a responsible person with their credit. And I'll show you what I mean. I'll pull up my Credit Karma credit report. And I know some of you are going to say, well, Credit Karma is not accurate, but it's accurate enough. And I've used it for years. This is, if I can get it to focus here. This is my credit report. This is my credit. On TransUnion, it's 759, and on Equifax, it's 761. Now, you don't get to that kind of score by being irresponsible with your money or just being financially responsible generally. Now, both of them have dropped 26 and 27 points because I've been spending a little bit of money since I've been here in Panama on my credit, but I will show you something if I can pull up the graph and get it to focus. On April 8th, again, I don't know if you can see it. I don't know if I got it to focus, but anyways, on April 5th, my credit score was 808. Again, you don't get to that type of credit by being financially responsible. My credit journey has been one that I started back in 2017 when I had a 530 credit score. And once I became an E5 in the Army, I said I got to get my life together because if I'm going to be in charge of other individuals under me, then I must set the example. At the time, I didn't qualify for a credit card, so what I did was I opened up a secure credit card with $500 of my own money. And over time, making payments and using the card, actually in about 6 months, my bank decided that I was credit worthy enough to give me an actual credit card with a credit limit of like $1,200. It wasn't much. And again, over the years, I've made these payments on time. If you look at my credit history, I've never had a missed payment on an item, a late payment. None of that. So me personally, I don't think it's necessarily bad if you use these buy now, pay laters responsibly. Now, the problem comes in when you have a lot of these people that because this supposedly doesn't show up on your credit report, they're taking out these loans and they're not paying for them. They're missing the payments, they're accruing interest. And so now they're starting to show up on credit reports. And that's just going to hinder your ability to do and get credit. Now, I know he said go ahead and get credit cards. Go ahead and get an actual credit card. Credit cards that report. Now, you could do what I did and get a secure credit card and use it with your own money to start establishing credit. But the thing is, most people don't think like that. And the thing is that these people that are using these buy now, pay laters, programs or whatever don't qualify for regular credit cards because their credit is already fried. That is the problem. And now these companies are reporting millions, hundreds of millions of dollars in losses because people aren't paying, and they're beginning to crack down.
Wake up, people, because you're under spells. FICO is adding your buy now, pay later apps to your credit report. Your Klarna, your Affirm, your Zezzle, whatever. If you think that you're now going to be able to get away with hiding your debt when you purchase anything on buy now, pay later, I hate to break it to you, that's all over. And you might be somebody who does pay your bills on time, especially when it comes to Klarna and Affirm. That's great. But for some of y'all who I've seen your credit report that have lates on Affirm and Klarna and Sezzle and any other buy now, pay later, I'm going to tell you the one thing that is going to make it very hard for those accounts to come off your credit report. Whenever you're going about disputing late payments, it's really easy to look into the payment history grid and find your dispute reason, because that's often where mistakes are made. It's helpful if that creditor is reporting that account to all three of your credit bureaus. And a lot of times when you look at Affirm especially, they are only really reporting to Experian. Now, I know they report to Experian and TransUnion, but if you don't see this on your TransUnion report, it's not reporting to TransUnion for you. If you really don't have another record to show where that creditor or the credit bureau is actually making errors, it makes factual disputing a lot harder, which means you're going to have to really rely heavy on consumer law or Metro 2 compliance to dispute any of the late payments and even that charge off. And while this is giving some people a credit boost, I knew this was a trap. They just want to see what you're doing. And if you're able to do things using phantom debts like Klarna and Afterpay, they really can't see what they need to see. So just save up for the things that you need and stop doing a 4 for 4 in 4.
Again, it goes back to people not being financially responsible. If you're financially responsible, you don't have to worry about things like this. The thing is that people are using these buy now, pay laters to buy little items and then stack up debt continuously. Oh, $100 here, $50 there. And next thing you know, you owe thousands of dollars. And these companies are reporting the losses. So now they got to do something about it. They can't just have you borrowing money for no reason. Now they can't just have you borrowing money without knowing whether you are going to pay it back or can afford to pay it back. But you have to think about what this really says and what this really means, about our society and how these companies actually hook you. You know why Uber became Uber, DoorDash, and I'm going to talk about DoorDash in just a second because it has something to do with this as well. But do you know why Uber and DoorDash, became so popular? They became popular because when they first started as companies, they operated at losses to get you hooked on the product, to make it enticing for you to use all the time. Then after a couple of years, when they have to start reporting some sort of revenue or profit to the investors, they have to start jacking up the prices. You know what's crazy? You guys know, I've mentioned it in plenty of my videos if you're one of my returning viewers, that I live in Panama. And I'm not really a person that uses DoorDash too much because I always thought the prices were outrageous. But, when I went back to the States, I use it here and there when I really don't feel like leaving the house and I want to order something. I'll use it. And not here in Panama, but I'm talking about back in the States. So when I went back to the States for my best friend's graduation in May, there was one day I woke up, I was kind of hungover. I had some beers the night before and I didn't really want to leave the house. So I was going to DoorDash something. And I looked at the place, what they were charging me for. The food was like $16. Now, I thought that was decent. Okay. But then when I got to the screen to pay, the total was like $40. I'm like, how did the meal become, how did the overall price of what I'm trying to order doubled? The service fee doubled. There's a couple other things, and even the recommended tip used to tell me, because I just do the recommended tip. It used to tell me $4 for recommended tip, which I think even on a $16 meal is a pretty good tip for a driver. It was $7.50. Now I know I could change it and make it my own, but I believe in tipping because I've worked tipped jobs before, and it kind of sucks when you don't get a tip. So I believe in tipping decently, but I'm not tipping $7.50 on a $16 meal on top of the delivery fees and all these other fees that I'm being charged. The meal was literally $40, and I said, you know what? I'm just not going to order. I decided to just get in my car and drive and go get some food because there was no way that I was going to pay double the amount of what the meal actually costs for me to get it delivered to my house. But again, when DoorDash first started, when Uber first started, it was super cheap. They operated at losses to get you hooked on using the service. And now that you're used to it, you're used to spending this money and you feel like it's a service you can't live with, they jack up the prices. And what are you going to do? You're going to keep using it because you're going to justify it because you've already accustomed your life to living that way. But not me, because I was never really a DoorDash user or I was never really an Uber user. And that's what's going on with these buy now, pay later. They've got you hooked on buying products on 4 payments. Oh, instead of paying $100 right now, which you may have, but you don't want to spend, you could just pay $25 right now. We'll get the other 4 payments in the next 8 weeks or whatever it is. If you got to pay every 2 weeks, I don't know, because I've used the services, but I don't use them enough to know exactly how that works. The 4 payments or whatever it is. But yeah, now that you've gotten used to it, they're just gonna start reporting. And now you're going to have to pay back. Or risk of ruining your credit report, not being able to rent, not being able to buy a house, a lot of things, not even being able to buy a car on favorable terms for your loan. And again, it's gotten so crazy that I'm going to show you guys something. Klarna has partnered with DoorDash. So I'm sure even DoorDash was saying, look, the meals are getting crazy. $40 for one meal, like I said, that it came up to me on an app for one meal for one person. We'll partner with Klarna and get them to pay it in 4 payments. So instead of you having to pay the $40 up front to eat one meal, you can go ahead and pay $10 over the next 4 weeks or whatever it is. But that's how bad it's gotten. Bro, if you can't afford and I'm not saying a $40 meal, but if you can't afford a freaking $10 coffee, because the coffee might be $5, but after all the fees and the tips and all that, you might be paying 10 or 15. Just don't even bother. Don't even bother. Just go ahead and get in your car and go ahead and go order it, because this is ridiculous. Paying your food in 4. If you've gotten to this point, you need to start cooking at home. You start doing something. Stop spending, going crazy with this stuff. But this is how insane it's gotten. That DoorDash has partnered with Klarna so you can pay your food in 4 payments. Again, like I showed you guys, I'm a financially responsible person, and I'm not necessarily against using these services as long as you make the payments. I know a lot of people will tell you, don't use these services. They're not good. They don't report to your credit. And that's true, which I think is messed up, because they don't report when you make the payments, but if you miss the payments, they will report it, which I think is messed up. But again, I'm not necessarily against it as long as you're financially responsible. But I want to know your guys' thoughts in the comments. How do you feel about Klarna and all Afterpay and all these paying fors, reporting to your credit? How do you feel about that? And I just want to know what you guys think in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think. And if you like this video, please comment, rate. Please comment, like the video, and share this with your friends. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.